We are in this together.
You have gifts that I don't have, and I have gifts that you don't have.
That we must see. Now is the time, because it's when we all get together that we will make the changes that we must make. We are the world.
Welcome to Malcolm and We, heard exclusively on malcolmpresents.com, a streaming platform heard around the world and beyond, wherever that may be. And Malcolm and We is about this group called We the World, which basically our show is to introduce people who are trying to make a positive impact on this world, again, and beyond. And today our guest is, well, I'll let Jana Larson say who the guest is because I don't want to mispronounce her name. Jana, take over.
Well, thank you, Malcolm. Today we have Rukiye Abdul Mutakallim, and she is a woman who knows about pain, suffering, and trauma. Rukiye is a woman who has come to know what to do with those feelings. Her story involves tragedy, but it also displays supreme courage, the kind of courage and perseverance that is particular to women of strength who are also mothers. I don't know her well yet, but that is going to change. I became aware of her when I was about to leave my position on the coordinating committee of the Ohio chapter of the Poor People's Campaign, and she was coming onto the team. I was impressed by her then, and I still am. Now I hope I'm in a position to assist her with her goals in my role as co-host of Malcolm and We, and in my position with We the World. Welcome, Rukiye. Thanks so much for being with us today. There's so much to talk about with you, and I thought the best way is just to say, here she is. Get ready to learn a lot and hear a lot because she's a woman who has a lot to say. Thank you.
Well, I first and will always greet, as I greet everyone, Assalamu alaikum. It is such an honor and a pleasure to be amongst both of you. And Jana, little did I know in that brief time that we met, we would be doing something like this. But what I did feel that eventually we would come together to launch a project and program that will save the 3Bs, because you got it. You got it from the day we met. And that's what it takes, is that spiritual heart coming together to understand what the 3Bs are. And I know your audience is saying, the 3Bs, what are the 3Bs? There's an innate law. It's absolutely innate law that without it, the little hint I'll give you is without it, mankind has no future. No future at all here. And what are they? The 3Bs: babies, butterflies, and bees. So when you think about the butterflies and bees, you're talking about pollinators, all pollinators. So instead of trying to name all the pollinators, we found a way to introduce it to you in a way that it is a no-brainer. That without our ecosystem, without those pollinators, we cannot exist on this earth. Mankind will have no existence, nothing to feed them, clothe them, shade them. And if you think you can exist out here without shade, I want you to just go right out to the desert, see how long you last. And we do not pollinate shade. Yes. And we don't pollinate shade. And what is human beings' future? We are not the future. It is our babies. Every child across this globe is mankind's future. This innate law is not being taught anymore. It's not even being thought about. And if I am wrong, then tell me why we are losing our pollinators and why our children, many of them, are dying before we are from the man-made disease of trauma. I am not bringing something that you didn't know. what I'm bringing to you is what you hadn't thought about, what you have somehow taken for granted. And you have thought that you can choose what child will bring a magnificent idea forth to raise mankind up and take them to the future. You cannot. As much as you may have been trying to do so. And this is why our children right now are lashing out, crying out for help, but they don't know how to speak well because we have forgotten to train them in the best of manners. And I'm not talking about individuals. I'm really talking about a group because we are now in a pandemic of violence, racism, fascism, crime, and our children are dying by the droves across the globe. But I try to start in my own backyard. And here in Cincinnati, Ohio, all across Ohio, all across this nation that I actually love, we're heading to a tsunami of deaths. When are we gonna wake up? We are not the future, our children are. Every one of them. And they all come with beautiful gifts. But we're not teaching them how to, one, reach for those gifts. And we're not teaching them how to utilize those gifts because we've forgotten about we, and we think about me. No. So I just want people to understand that what the Musketeer Association and we and many other organizations from between the waters, we're talking about educating our future so that they will continue to understand the innate laws that were put here so we can live in harmony with all creation.
Well, you had mentioned the Musketeer Association. Exactly what is that?
Well, the Musketeer Association is not an organization, it's an association of different people coming together from different walks of life to introduce antibiotic and probiotic methods through projects into the underserved communities that are suffering the most from the man-made disease of trauma. We come together to eradicate that man-made disease and to bring an end to the social imbalance and health pandemic of the crime, of the violence, the racism, the fascism, and all of these things start in the home. So the Musketeer Association wanted to find a way to stop preaching to the people who are suffering, who have given up hope, but show them that we see them by these projects. The Flower Pot Project for the Musketeers started with that. It was to take a sow's ear, turn it into a silk purse, and show to the people, we see you. When my son was killed in this community, he was just trying to help a very area of Cincinnati that is still today suffering from that social imbalance and health pandemic of MMDT. When that happened to him, I searched for 2 years, not why this happened to my son or why it happened to me, but what is happening to the children, because it was children that committed the horrible, it was a heinous crime. They walked up behind him, shot him in the back of the head, 3 assailants, a 14-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 25-year-old who led the boys to doing the crime. And it shook me to my bones when I saw the video, and they didn't even say, stick him up. They shot him. He fell into the gutter. Then they robbed him. he was still alive. He was still alive as they were robbing him. They took $40 off his person. The food he was taking home to his family, because he was just out there to get food and bring home. And his cell phone. As I watched this poor placed surveillance camera, poorly placed, I saw them walking away, not afraid, as if they were empowered to do this. He was still alive. They could have dialed 911 on his phone. No one would have known who they were and called for help for him. But they didn't even do that. And when I saw them in the juvenile court, the baby faces, they were baby face. The two assailants they arrested, because the 25-year-old was still out there. It hit my heart. I felt like my heart had just fell into the deepest ocean, because I did not expect to see babies. And the first thing that came to my heart, that went to my head, was, what happened to those children? Children aren't born like that. There's an innate law that governs how children are born, an innate law. All children, matters not the color, whether they're cross-eyed, buck teeth, short arms, matters not. You know what that innate law is? 5 things, gifts to the child. Every child has it. Every child. Light in their eyes, joy in their voice, hope in their hearts, a curious mind, and they're always reaching up. Every child. They only start reaching down when something is harming them. They pick up weapons to harm themselves and or others. So what happened to them? And I needed to know, because even their parent, they came from a one family parent, they were children themselves. Children raising children. So the Musketeer Association had to address that, because I addressed that.
How long ago was that?
That happened in 2015. The date exactly. June 29th.
I'm sorry to hear it must be, as they say, the hardest experience is losing a child. And I have 2 boys, 27 and 29. And I can imagine, I can't imagine that, if that would happen to them.
I can tell you now, another innate law. This is an innate law. We never have a choice about it. When you conceive, meaning the parents, that means the father and the mother, you never think that you will be raising a child to come out and harm another child. You didn't think that when you conceived that child. When the child came out, you didn't say, oh, my goodness, this is the next Hitler. You didn't say that. You didn't say Manson. You didn't say that. And you will never say that. Because this is innate law. You have to think kindly of what seed came from you.
Well, when you're talking about this, the feeling that I have when I see a child, especially a child sleeping, is I think the word is innocence.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's an innocent, the sleep of, pure pleasure. You
and you think that you look at that child, and it is, and I mean the first, I'm not talking about after a few days when they've been crying and you can't sleep. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when they first come out, because it is an innate law. You don't even look at the child and say, man, that one's a little bit, that's,
that doesn't look like me.
That. You just say, oh, look at him or her. And you think, what amazing things will they do? It may be a brief moment in your mind, but it's there. And that you have no control over. You can't come, you won't look at that child and say something negative. No, not the first when you look. No.
It's
So,
pure happiness.
so I didn't know about we. I went around to, first of all, I did the research about the children. When you find out what happened to them, as you saw in the video, if you watched it, how could I not forgive them? When I found out that the one I hugged in court, the 14-year-old, who was 16 by that time, he was as tall as my sons. My sons all range from 6'2" to 6'4". And so, and some I think are still growing, but I'd like to think they'll slow down. I found out his birth came from molestation.
Mm.
Already traumatized in the seed. And then he had a 3rd grade reading level, even at the time of, and I hugged him in court at 16, 3rd grade reading level. He was big for his age. He was a slow learner. I didn't say he was retarded. He was just a slow learner, which means you take time with and teach them how. By my faith, not religion, by my faith, I had to forgive him. I had to forgive them. I haven't forgiven the 25-year-old because he's never brought to book for what he's done. He's still out there and to mislead other children, because this is the practice of this arena nowadays. Use the young ones to do your crime.
Was this your introduction to the Musketeers, or were you involved before?
I was doing natural disasters, working with Islamic Relief. And before that, I was volunteering with the Red Cross from California, by the way, when we had that big earthquake that took down the Embarcadero. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, we were there.
In 1906?
No,
You look good
oh yeah.
for your age.
If I look this good from 1906, I'll take that. Thank you very much. I love you, Malcolm.
I think it was 86 or somewhere
80,
in there?
86, 89, 87. It's 1980s. We can look it up. I think it's 89 though. It's 89.
Oh, okay.
And the Embarcadero came down. I was in Union City where I was raising my children, and the children were just getting off from school. So the school where they attended, they didn't need to ride the bus, but there were others that had to ride the bus. My youngest one had come home already, and we stood in the doorway, because when an earthquake happens, you should be in doorways because they're much more firmer, or get into a tub. But
when the earthquake happens, you should be in another city.
Look, they got earthquakes here in there's an fault line.
Yeah,
there's a fault line here, right here in Ohio.
Yeah,
we had an earthquake which happened in 2012 or 2012, because I was praying at the time, and it rumbled. And my daughter called. She called me right afterwards. She said, "Did you feel that?" And I said, "No." I said, "I felt something, but I'm praying, so I won't interrupt. I'm not going to run." And and when I finished, some of the stuff on the shelf was interrupted and on the floor. So I said, "Was that an earthquake?" When she called me, I said, "Was that an earthquake?" She said, "Yes, Mummy, that was an earthquake in Ohio." I said, "Oh, well." So now you can't just pick on California and say it'll break away. You could break away too. So just to let everyone know, because I know we don't have a lot of time, I did go to different organizations all around. I felt like we didn't need any more. We got 45 at least in Cincinnati area alone. I had not run into we yet. And I offered this idea about the flower pot, to use that as a conduit to go into those communities and bring those services and and the core services and help and let them know where there are organizations and other agencies that have services for them in their immediate area as well as outside, because I had discovered that many did not know. I mean, I went into the communities to find this out. And when I offered the flower pot project, which was to take a sow's ear, turn into a silk purse, the persons that would receive these pots would be the ones who've fallen in the streets. And on the outside of the pot would be a QR code and their name and the people sponsoring it. That's why I told you you're about to get known. And we have a database, a full database that all their names would go in, the sponsors and so forth, what happened to them. So when you click on this QR code, you would actually see, I sent you a flyer, but you see this, see
Yes.
the flower pot right there?
Yes.
This is
Oh.
our
Uh-huh.
prototype. This is the prototype. It will beautify the community, as well as the fact, tell the story of who've fallen out there and what happened to them. There would be pictures on the inside. The families would also be able to put something there that would help them, right? Something there in that would be on in the QR code that would help them to have closure. I got to say goodbye to my son. He waited. I sent a story to you, and it's on the website. In the what you didn't see in the videos, we got to say goodbye. I got to say goodbye to my son, hold his hand, watch the light leave him, and his hands grow cold, the single tear that comes down the right eye. I got to see that and then say my goodbyes to him. I even got to tell him about his birth, how he was born, how long he stayed inside my belly, the pain I went through birthing him. Because I do this for all my children on their birthday. I call them, if they're not home, I call them and tell them about their birth.
How many children do you have?
By loins, 3. By adoption, 9 across.
9. Wow.
9. That's why I said some of them are still growing. I'm like,
Now the question there, the Musketeer Association, was that founded by you, or was that something that you had joined?
No, I founded it, and I named it after our ancestors of the things in which they had done. The one for all and all for one. The Musketeers really came from our ancestry. Well, the 3 Musketeers came from an African who wanted to make Europeans feel good about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But it's our legacy. Yeah, he wanted. Now, look, he was in France, and he wanted to be published. Because he was Black, they were the real reality of what we've been dealing with all these millenniums, is the fact that people have put race as something of how they deal with each other, and it's wrong because we are human beings.
Race and religion.
I will put the religion here for the time being, okay?
Because
and I do agree with that.
Because religion isn't that obvious where race is, because race, it's a visual type of thing.
So we could have another discussion with that one.
Right, because when I walk into a place, they don't say, well, actually with me, they say he's Jewish. So I am aware of being a minority.
Well, since I am in that arena of that I was born in servitude in this country, knowing that I have that particular time.
When you said you were born in servitude in this country, define that. What do you mean by that?
Sad that most people, including our own of this day and age, don't know what that means. But when you were born in the South, especially the South that was deeply racist, which was most of it, if not all of it, you were not even allowed to be on the sidewalk with them. So if one is walking down the sidewalk and they are either behind you or in front of you, and you become especially aware that they are in front of you, you have to get off the sidewalk and stand in the middle of the street until they pass. You're not allowed to go through the same door of a shopping center or a building or office or anything of that nature before them. Even if they are 2 or 3 minutes from you, you have to hold the door and wait till they go in. If not, listen, wait a minute, let me finish, because servitude is servitude. And if you did not obey, that was law. Not understood, that was law and understood. If you did not, they had the right to beat you, have you arrested. They could even maim you or kill you, and they really wouldn't be brought to book if you died.
What years are you talking about?
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm beginning to believe that you were around for the earthquake in San Francisco in the early 1900s.
Well, I'm not ashamed to say my age. I'm 72 years old.
72.
And come next month, I'm due to be 73. So when I was 3 years old, I remember in an area that I will not name right now because I don't want people to get in trouble there of my kind, because they can still. I told you, it's still the seat of the Ku Klux Klan. But I was in...
Okay, now I can relate, because I've like in the 1960s, I remember quite well the civil rights movement.
Right, that was the marching in the streets.
Right.
The civil rights itself literally started 2 decades before then. The idea and what you need to do and how you need to do it, and not step back from it. The nonviolence, not anti-violence, the nonviolence started when my aunts and uncles, especially my uncles, coming back from the war, and they were on the battlefield with the very same people that now are being prejudiced against them, or continuing this prejudice, because we were put in the front lines. We were put in the front lines, and they would save the lives of those people, and then they have to come back to the community. And the very same people, I remember my uncle telling, he was old, I was a little, sitting on his lap, Uncle James, yes, I remember, telling me how the very neighbor across the railroad track, that he saved his life, and now he's got a hood on his head, still doing the same old thing.
Yeah.
Do you know how that would shake you through your bones? You saved that man's life, and now he puts a hood on and acts as if he does not know you. I was 3 years old. 3. I woke up at night. You don't know what that... I had never heard or seen, well, I had heard the word, but I had not seen white hoods and sheets before. I'm 3. And my neighbor, my playmate, her father was drug out of the house, nearly beat to death. I'm watching this, and I see the torches, and I see those hoods, and I hear these words, and I will never forget them. Nigga, we're keeping you alive and making an example out of you. You will do what we say, because we have started standing up and saying we're not taking this anymore. That's what they were, my mentors, if you so will, of cousins and aunts.
How much progress?
They really beat him.
Yeah. How much progress has been made through all these years? If you look at this country now, with its division, with its anti-Semitism, with its anti-Black, with its anti-immigrant,
anti-everything, against human beings, against him, because with
anti-woman.
If you want, yes, if you want to say if there's progress made, okay, there's progress made, that there are more people. They had no choice. We were still having children, and the civil rights had to come into action, and it did. I'm
Excuse me,
so
we have to
sorry.
go
I know
back.
we probably have to go.
We only have a minute left. Is there a way for people to look up your organization? Or I'm sure that you're open for donations and
We're working on a heartstring budget, but I have every faith
yeah,
that they cannot continue doing, and we do
right.
have the solution. So they can reach us at www.musketeerassociation.org. Musketeer, spelled as it is, and association, all one word, .org. If that cannot ring in your mind just yet, then remember this number, 937 304 8854. It is a texting number. You can call the number. We do answer. Or we'll get back to you within a couple of hours, because it's all about we and not me. And
Repeat that
we,
one.
Right.
Repeat that once again. The number is in the website.
www.musketeerassociation.org. One word. Telephone number 937 304 8854. And we will send you an electronic card so that you can click or text or touch however you wish. And we're here to help in every way we can. We advocate for the 3 Bs. We know that the 3 Cs, we didn't tell you about the 3 Cs, which is comprehensiveness, consistency, and collaboration is what will save this 3 Bs.
We have to have you back because we need more people like you out there.
Absolutely.
Well, I need you both. And I'm on your website to be partner. I want us to partner. The collaboration is a must. We have 67 organizations that are collaborating with us. No, they're not giving us money, but they're giving us their heart. And when we call on them for the projects and programs we're doing, many of them do step up. So I want Malcolm and we.
Well, I believe in the 3 Cs: communication, communication, and communication. That's what we need. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh,
Yes,
it's been my
thank
honor.
you.
Malcolm and
So good to see you again.
And same here. So don't be strangers. Malcolm, reach out. I'll even send you the brochure and a PowerPoint so that you can look over things. And yes, we need funding. We do. And 80% of what we receive from people, we put into the community. 80%, because they need it. And if you think I'm joking, my retirement is what's keeping the Musketeers alive right now. And I do not intend to stop until we get everyone on board to bring into the social imbalance and this health pandemic that we are facing right now.
Well, with your energy, I know you have another 50, 60 years at least.
Don't do that. Oh, and if I can look like this and be this healthy, I'll take it. Okay.
Yes. Excellent.
But if you want to look us up, look us Malcolm Presents.
All right. Malcolm Presents. And well, I'm going to finish filling out the application to be partners, to have a partnership. I pray we can do an MOU and we start helping each other. We're about to lay 60 pots, by the way. So I want you in that QR code. I want you under this QR code here.
Okay.
So that when they could go in to read about the child that's fallen there, they will see the services that you are, and they will join your organization. They will know that you are there.
And I know your heart is there, and you've exposed yourself to our audience, and I know we all love you.
Well, know that this is tenfold. She knows. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. That consistency.
But you didn't know today doesn't exist because it's the Leap Day.
Leap Day.
February 29th. Happy Leap Day. Thank you for joining us.
And I appreciate all of you so much. You honored me.
Bye.
Bye, Salama.
The objective of the organization, We the World, is to facilitate cooperation on a global scale amongst groups and individuals dedicated to implementing solutions to the many challenges we face on the planet at this time.